Hi, my name is Aya. You're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to talk about BookTube's favorite romances and romantasies they read in 2025. So I watched, let me check, about 255 videos. Crazy. Of favorites videos. And I just tallied up everybody's favorites until I got to a top 15. Some books share a spot, or multiple books share a spot, so I'll talk about that when I actually get to the top 15. The plan for this video is to read the books that I have not read yet. And for two series here, even though I had already read one book in the series, I thought to take this chance to read another book in the series. Once again, I'll get to that when I get to it. I will have timestamps down below because first I'm going to talk about my method of madness and then I'll get into the top 15. If you want to skip how I chose which videos made it onto the list and stuff like that, then check out the timestamps. So first, the biggest and most important rule I had was that at least 40% of the video had to be romances. Because I didn't want, sometimes, especially like Emily Henry, Abby Jimenez, those authors, they cross the bridge to people who don't normally read romances, but they will read some of their books. So I didn't want their books to overtake this list. I wanted actual booktubers who read romances regularly to feature on this list. And I figured, if 40%, around 40% or more of your favorites is romances, then that is a good indicator that you read romances regularly. I let the booktuber themselves tell me which books made it onto this list or not. So if the booktuber themselves called a book an honorable mention, I wouldn't count it, even though that book might have been a 5-star. But another booktuber that had a top 25 and maybe like their 25th book is only a 3.5, if they called it their favorites and it was part of their top 25, then I counted it as well. Hi, editing Aya here. I just realized while I was editing, one thing I also forgot to mention, because I found myself saying a lot, so sometimes people mention the entire series or more than one book. If I include a entry as a whole series, or multiple books as one entry, or multiple books as different like several entries, is also up to the booktuber themselves. Like if a booktuber has for a top 10, for example, and they say, okay, this entire series counts as one spot in my top 10, then I will add it as one spot. But if a booktuber decides to have 5 different entries for their favorite series, like book 1 will be their 8th favorite book, book 2 will be their 6th favorite book, book 4 will be their 2nd favorite book, stuff like that, then I will add each and every one separately as well. Hope that makes sense, but I think it will once you see the same name repeated for different books in the same series. And if you have any questions, which I don't think anybody cares as much as I do, let me know and I will try to explain better. Books that aren't published yet, I would count them in the list because series I count together. But I mean, obviously, if the first book in the series is not published, I cannot read it for this video. These are all adult romances, with one exception. It is romantasy. Because in my opinion, young adult romantasy and adult romantasy are pretty similar. So I did count young adult romantasy, but I didn't count any other young adult genre. So no YA contemporary, no YA dystopian, stuff like that. I watched until January 11th. So any favorites video uploaded after January 11th, I couldn't count for this video. Also, this was I was looking for videos that was a straight up list of their favorites. So I didn't include superlative videos. I didn't include award videos. I didn't include this is all the books I read and I'm gonna rank them. I didn't include those videos. I wanted a top 5, top 10, top 20, top 15, top 25, top 100 for all I cared, but as long as they were favorites, then they counted. So another video I did not count are videos that are like, these are my favorites of every month, because as much as I enjoy watching them, like you could have read, like that happened to me often, like I could read like 3 of my favorites in one month and read none of my favorites in another month. So I feel like that didn't count for the type of video I wanted to make. So I tagged everybody that I watched for this video in the description. So if you see a person that has similar favorites to yours, check their channel out because you might really enjoy their content. Also, I made a playlist and added anybody that I could that I watched in that playlist. So feel free to binge that and discover more favorites. I will also link my own top 10 video. I didn't include myself for this list, but I will let you know if a book is also a favorite of mine, of course. So I think that is it for now. The reason I'm a bit farther behind than I normally am, because I'm gonna have a whole stack of books here that I need to hold up, so otherwise you cannot see the whole top 15. So let's get started. There were 4 books or series that share the 15th spot. The first ones I'm gonna talk about is The Shepherd King duology by Rachel Gillick. 9 people mentioned the entire duology. 8 people mentioned One Dark Window, and 5 people mentioned Two Twisted Crowns. Hopefully you can see that. I think you can. The second 15th position is Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. 22 people mentioned this book. As of filming this clip, I have not read this yet, but I will, of course. So let's cue to the vlog clips of me reading this book. So I started Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. This is a Christmas romance, which honestly, good for this book because normally Christmas books don't really make it onto people's favorites videos. So it's a testament to this book that it was so beloved that it ended up into a lot of people's favorite books. So this is a Christmas Carol type story where you have like the ghost of Christmas past visiting this supposed Scrooge called Harriet, except she's literally the opposite of a Scrooge. Like she hates upsetting people. She always does what everybody else wants, even if that means sacrificing things that she wants. So at first, Nolan, the ghost of Christmas past, doesn't believe her when she says that she's actually a good person until they dive until they dive into her memories. And like he cannot find any fault with her really. And while they're doing that, they end up falling in love. And there's like some mystery about his past because at one point, and that has never happened before, they start seeing his memories. And this is like a different type of ghost. Yes, he's been dead for 100 years, but he's corporeal, so they can touch, which obviously makes things interesting. He's Irish, and I listened to this on audiobook while reading it, and just like almost everybody said in their favorites videos, I would highly recommend, if you want to read this book, to listen to the audiobook. I got to page 235 and I'm unfortunately DNFing this book. This was fine, honestly. I probably could have finished it because I would need to read like 110 more pages. So I could have finished it if I wanted to, but like, I don't think this book will get any higher than a 3 because... So this is actually the last book I'm reading for this vlog, and I want to upload this vlog tomorrow. And I've been reading this book for like a couple days now. It's just not the vibe for me. If I'm reading this in January, it's not Christmas, like it's not Christmas here, obviously. I'm not really in the Christmas spirit. Work is really busy right now, and I find myself not really being able to concentrate. And this book is not keeping my interest when I pick it up. I find myself not really caring. So I think if I actually finish it now, I might just give it 3 stars. And nothing in me wants to continue on, really. Like, every time I pick this book up, I get into a heated rivalry rabbit hole watching fan edits. And it's a real problem, yeah? And before you ask, no, I don't ever want that problem to ever go away. What I would like is like more of a balance. Like, I want to read my book and think about my book whenever I'm making time for that and not think about other things. And I have been just as obsessed with heated rivalry while reading other books in this vlog, and I didn't seem to have the same problem. So I think it's the book, and I don't want to finish this and give it a 3 and not think about it anymore. Even though I'm DNFing it now, there is a chance I might pick it up next year or the year after during the holiday season, and maybe I'm going to be more in the mood for this book, but I felt like I wasn't really into these characters. I wasn't really believing in the romance, so I might not even do that. As far as a Christmas romance is concerned, this was a pretty solid one. So far, I haven't really read a Christmas romance that really blew my mind. So this unfortunately wasn't it. It's definitely not going to be my favorites considering I didn't even finish this. I am reading another BK Borison for this vlog, so keep watching to see what I thought of her other book. So that was Good Spirits. Let's put it on top of One Dark Window. I really hope you can see that. Yeah, I think you can see it well enough. The third 15th spot series is the Wicked Games series by Kaylee Smith. One person mentioned both books. 12 people mentioned Phantasma and 9 people mentioned Enchantra. I read both of these in a vlog, which I'll leave linked for you. I gave Phantasma 3 stars and Enchantra 5 stars. Enchantra was actually also one of my favorite books I read this year. Considering more people mentioned Phantasma, I'm just gonna use this for my stack. And the last 15th spot is the Part of Your World trilogy by Abby Jimenez. 6 people mentioned Part of Your World, 6 people mentioned Yours Truly, and 10 people mentioned Just for the Summer. I read all 3 of them. I gave Part of Your World 4 stars, Yours Truly 4 stars, and Just for the Summer was actually my favorite book I read last year. It is in fact one of my favorite books I've ever read, so I definitely agree with BookTube on this one. There was only one series that is in 14th place, and it's the Skyland trilogy by Kennedy Ryan. 5 people mentioned Before I Let Go, 6 people mentioned This Could Be Us, and 12 people mentioned Can't Get Enough. So I actually read This Could Be Us for the Goodreads Choice. No, I read it for a anticipated releases vlog last year. I enjoyed it, but it was not my favorite. I gave it 4 stars. Since this is a series that has been on my shelves for a while and I haven't got around to all of them, I decided to read Before I Let Go, the first one in this trilogy, for this vlog. So let's cue to the vlog clips. So I know I said I was gonna read Before I Let Go, even though I already read a book in this series. I'm not gonna do that. As you can see by the length of this video, I have already read a lot of books. And even though this is one of the first books you're gonna see from this list, a bit more towards the end of the list are the books I'm actually going to be reading for this vlog. And while I'm filming this, I'm uploading this video tomorrow, so I don't really have the time. It is a priority series for me to finish though, so I will finish it by the end of the year. I just have to find a way, find time to actually pick it up, but it's not going to be for this vlog. As far as this series is concerned, I did give the second book 4 stars. I can see why this series is a lot of people's favorites, but I heard from people whose reading tastes are a bit similar to mine that they preferred the first and third book over the second book. So I don't know if the second book is the best indicator of how I'm going to feel about this series overall, but I guess check this or watch this space if you want my full thoughts on this entire series, because once again, like I said, I am going to make it a priority to finish it this year. So Can't Get Enough is the only one I have not read yet. But since more people mentioned this one, I know I probably should have read it, so let's put it on the stack. 2 series/books share the 13th spot. The first one is the Crimson Moth duology by Rachel Gillick. 7 people mentioned the entire duology. 6 people mentioned the Crimson Moth, and 11 people mentioned the Rebel Witch. So I read the Crimson Moth for the video I did last year of reading BookTube's favorite romantasies of 2024, and I really enjoyed it. In fact, I enjoyed it so much that the Crimson Moth made it onto my favorites list of this year, so I definitely agree with BookTube on this one. If you want to know my full thoughts of me reading this book, check out the video I did last year, which I'll leave that linked for you as well. Another book in 13th place is If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. This, as you can see, I'm reading right now. Let me give you the update since I'm here anyway. So I'm on chapter 15, page 186. So I've not finished it yet, obviously, but I can give you my thoughts now and then we'll cue to my final thoughts on this book. So this is very much inspired by Gilmore Girls. It is a very fall book, as you can see by the cover, set in the 90s, actually 1997, and you follow Michelle, whose mother recently passed away, and she actually got a divorce from a horrible man. And her mom had the, like, she's from the big city, and her mom had this bed and breakfast in this small, quaint town. And her sister was supposed to take over, but her sister is finishing up college. So Michelle ends up taking a sabbatical from her advertising job in the city to run this bed and breakfast. But she's very grumpy and she's not really that hospitable, so it's not going too well. She's used to living in a city where nobody really bothers you, and this town is full of meddlesome people. One of the more meddlesome of the bunch is her neighbor and single dad, Cliff. He ends up charming her and he helps her with trying to run the bed and breakfast. And like where I'm at, like they are very much starting to get close. They're starting to become friends, and slowly, obviously this is going to be their romance. I'm really enjoying it. I love Cliff. He's a single dad, which of course I love. But what I really like about this book in particular is that he actually has a teenager that's 16 and a 6-year-old. So I do like the dynamic of like those two different age ranges for his little girls. I love how this is like a gender bent Gilmore Girls, because Michelle is the grumpy one, whereas Cliff is very much the sunshine. She's very standoffish in the beginning, and in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I was debating whether or not she was actually gonna, like, I was actually gonna like her, but that is part of her character development, I'm sure. Where I'm at now, I'm really enjoying all the scenes with her. I really like this quaint town where everybody is very close. Like, I feel like she did a very good job portraying like this small town in the US that is very close-knit, and everybody's in everybody's business. Very much a village to raise the kids. It's very 90s. Like, I feel like she's doing a good job with the references, the time period, I feel like. Time period, that sounds really odd. What else? I really like them together. And I feel like even though technically it's not that slow burn, because where I'm at now, it's October and she arrived there in September, and she's only supposed to stay there for like until after December, I'm pretty sure. But I feel like the author, at least in pages, is doing a good job establishing her day-to-day, establishing that she's slowly getting closer to Cliff and his girls. So I'm very much enjoying it. I really like seeing Allie lower her walls bit by bit, and I'm very interested to see like what she's going to decide. Obviously she's going to stay there, but I'm wondering like what it's going to take to get there. Also, Cliff has to deal with his ex and the mother of his children, because she really didn't like this small town. They actually got pregnant when they were still teenagers. I believe they were like 16, 17. I think they were 17 when they had their daughter. So once again, very Gilmore Girl-esque. But she never wanted to live in this small town, so they got a divorce. Now she's living in the big city. She calls whenever she wants to. And she definitely has a better relationship with the younger one. And the way she's treating the older one is unacceptable in my opinion. I am wondering how that will develop. It seems like Michelle has had a similar type of relationship with her mom, even though everybody loves her mom in the town. When she was younger, she was not like the birdie that everybody else knew. So I'm very much enjoying it. I'm tandem reading it. I'm really enjoying the audiobook as well. So yeah, so far I'm very much enjoying it. I don't know what rating I'm gonna give it, but like unless something goes horribly wrong, I don't think I'm gonna dislike this book. But let's cue to me reading more of this book, or actually finishing it, to give you my full thoughts. I finished If It Makes You Happy, and I'm giving it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I can definitely understand why a lot of people love this book so much, why it would be a lot of people's favorites. And even though I read it in January, and this takes place smack dab during fall season, the months September, October, September, October, November, and December. It was fine. I think you can definitely read this any time of year, really. I know it's really marketed as fall, but it doesn't really matter. Especially if you really love fall, then I think you can read this whenever, really, and enjoy it immensely. I really loved both characters. I really liked the character progression Michelle went through. And I really liked Cliff. He was a baker. I loved like him trying to figure out what her favorite pastry or favorite pastry was. The way every time he would like watch her intensely as she tasted it and went accordingly. I just love a man who cooks or bakes or whatever. It's just so sexy to me. If you hear that, that's my kettle warming up some water, so excuse that. I really loved his girls too. I know I mentioned it in my first update, I think. The fact, first of all, I liked the fact that one was a teenager and the other was still a child, but I also liked both of them. I liked their personalities, I liked their different struggles, and I really loved both of their relationships with both their father and Michelle, and also their mother. It was complicated, of course, but I liked how complicated it was. I liked how not everybody in this book was perfect, and even though, yes, I did say in my first update that I disliked the mom, I kind of still do. I still don't agree with the way she treats her oldest, but I can Julie Olivia really made me sympathize with her as well. I love this quirky town with these characters who just can't seem to mind their own business. I love this tight-knit community, and I really enjoyed it. The reason it's 4.5 stars is I did feel like it went on for a bit too long. This is a longer book. It is like almost 500 pages, and I always say my sweet spot with romances, contemporary romances, is between 300 and 400 pages. And I felt like the added pages were just added unnecessary drama that I really wanted to almost skim. I didn't, but I do feel like some scenes where tension is created, I feel like those could very much work in a movie. But since this was a book, I had to endure that for longer, it felt like. So there's a scene in here where she's trying to set him up with her sister. That went on for far too long. I feel like that could work like 5 minutes into a movie, but reading it just felt like it took forever. Also, like the back half of the book, when she's like trying to decide, is she staying here, is she moving back, and all of that also felt like Friends / like a movie from the 90s, which, I mean, yes, it's very nostalgic, but I prefer those kinds of scenes in movies, so that's why it's a 4.5. It's like, I still loved it, of course. I did enjoy my time. I tandem read this, which I do think helped. I felt like both narrators did a fantastic job with their narrations, and the way they did the other's voice, I really enjoyed. And the way they did his daughter's voices, I thought both of them did a very good job. So I think those are my thoughts. I don't really have a whole lot else to say, really. I think I feel like I said enough. I would say if you're really interested, you can read this anytime. But of course, if you want to wait until fall, I'm not going to stop you. It's a solid book. I will definitely read from Julie Olivia again. I know she's written more books. I don't think they're traditionally published yet. This is a standalone. I'm not sure if she's going to write more, but I would read any book set in this town, really. So I kind of hope she writes more. I really want a book about his sister, so hopefully we'll get that. Don't think I've heard anything about this being a series. It's a standalone for now, so I am excited. I think I'm gonna stop yapping now because this video is already far too long. So if it makes you happy, I guess you'll know by now whether or not I agree with BookTube on this one. One book is in 12th position and it's Conditions of Will. 25 people have mentioned this book in their favorites video. This is the only book I don't own. The reason for that is I tried to read a Jessa Hastings for my 2023 reading BookTube's favorite romances, and I couldn't get into her writing style. And I have no interest in reading more by her. I don't want to get into it too much because this is supposed to be a happy video, but from everything I've seen about her this year, I really have no interest in reading any more of her books. So we're gonna skip that one. One series is in 11th spot, and it's Bride and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I'm not sure if this is just gonna be a duology because in my opinion, she could still write a book about Misery's brother, so we'll have to see. 2 people mentioned both books. 4 people mentioned Bride and 20 people mentioned Mate. I don't own Mate yet. I bought it, but it was a different edition from the one I have for Bride, and I want my covers to match, and I haven't gotten around to getting like the book that matches. I read Bride when it came out and I read Mate when it came out. I reviewed both of them. I'll leave both videos linked for you. I really enjoyed this series. I'm not sure if Bride made it onto my 2024 favorites, but Mate didn't, but it almost made it. I enjoy a paranormal romance. Werewolf romances are my favorite type of romances, so of course I was bound to love it. This year has been a bit up and down as far as Ali Hazelwood is concerned for me, but I know that her paranormal romances work for me, so I really do enjoy those. So once again, agreeing with BookTube on this series. In 10th place is the Letters of Enchantment series by Rebecca Ross. So 4 people mentioned either all 3 books or 2 books. 8 people mentioned Divine Rivals, 4 people mentioned Ruthless Vows, and 11 people mentioned Wild Reverence. So Wild Reverence is the prequel novel to this duology. I read Divine Rivals for reading BookTube's favorite romances of 2023, and I really enjoyed it. I really love this duology, and I was actually planning on reading this prequel when it came out, but I was really slumping. So I haven't gotten around to it yet, and I still haven't read it. But I mean, I really want to. I wish I could have read it for this video, but this video ended up being too many books, so I had to make choices, and this one unfortunately got cut. But I mean, I love her writing style. I know, especially with the Divine Rivals duology, I 100% agree with BookTube. In 9th spot is the When in Rome series. I only own Practice Makes Perfect, so that's why I'm only holding this one up, but I will have pictures as usual. One person mentioned either the entire series or more than one book. One person mentioned When in Rome. 6 people mentioned Practice Makes Perfect. 18 people mentioned Beg, Borrow, or Steal. And 2 people mentioned In Your Dreams. Since this one was the only one I owned and I have not started the series yet, I figured let's just read this one. So let's cue to the vlog of me reading Practice Makes Perfect. I started Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, and I'm on page 98. This is the second book in the When in Rome series. The reason I'm reading this one is because it's the only one I own. And I wanted to avoid buying books for this video if I could help it. So I wasn't gonna buy another book in this series if I already owned one. This one I bought in 2023 for the Goodreads Choice Awards of that year. I thought this was gonna be in the top 10, but it didn't end up being there. So, and I just kept it, I guess, because I know a lot of people love this series. I haven't read the first one, but I do know in the first, and the reason I'm explaining the first one is because this is closely tied to it. In the first book, you follow this famous pop star who ends up escaping, and she ends up in this small town called Rome, Alabama, or Kentucky or whatever. Anyway, a little town in the US called Rome. And there she falls in love with a guy in that town. And this book you follow the guy's sister and this pop star's bodyguard. In this book you follow Annie Walker, who's like the goody two-shoes, the good girl, the virgin. She has no experience with men. She hates dating, and every date she's ever been on sucked for her because she's a very introverted girl. She cannot really continue a conversation on a date, so all her dates have crashed and burned, and she really wants to get married and have a family of her own. Obviously she knows that she has to date in order to get that. And Will, like I said, he's the bodyguard for her brother's girlfriend, and her name is Amelia. And Will is the opposite, like wants the opposite things to Annie. He has no interest in having a long-term relationship. He is against marriage because of his parents' marriage that was horrible. And he doesn't really want to settle down. He wants, like, he's a bodyguard for a reason. He wants to be the bodyguard of all types of people, travel the world, stuff like that. Both of them are very attracted to each other, but both of them know that they both want different things. So he's back in Rome to be the bodyguard for Amelia again. Annie ends up confiding in Amelia about her issues with dating. So Amelia tells her, you know, I can help you out with that. So she ends up tricking both of them to let Will help Annie become good at dating. So this is a teach me book, which I tend to love those. And Will is at first vehemently against it because he knows he's attracted to her, and he knows the more time he spends with her, the harder he's gonna fall. But Annie thinks it's a very good idea because she knows that she's not gonna fall in love with him, because even though she's attracted to him, he doesn't want to get married, or he doesn't want a serious relationship. So she thinks that she can protect her heart enough to get good at dating, to find somebody who's looking for the same things that she is. And this will turn into their romance. Like I said, I'm only on page, like almost to page 100. I am liking this book. I am enjoying my time well enough. I don't know, this sounds bad because that is exactly the thing that she doesn't like people talk about. I sometimes have issues with these like goody two-shoes romances. They tend to be boring. I'm sorry, this is so bad to say. I tend to prefer my heroines a bit feistier, which, like I said, is not so nice to say. But we'll see. I'm only on page 100, and I do feel like she is different with Will. She tends to, like, they banter back and forth. I do enjoy their scenes together. So we'll have to see what I feel about this book. I think my main thing with this book is I'm not really that in the mood for it. I just finished a great romantasy that I was obsessed with. And this is the exact opposite thing. But I didn't want to read another fantasy romance. So I figured, though, a contemporary in the mix is a good thing. It's very short, so I'm sure I'll fly through it. I did start the audiobook to get me through this a bit faster, because I had to get ready for this video and I wanted to listen to the audiobook while doing that. So that helps in getting through this book a bit faster. I don't know why I'm being a bit negative here. We'll see. So far nothing much has happened, so I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts. I guess I'll just give you my full thoughts once I actually finish it, which hopefully will be today. Right now it is 2:30 and I still need to read about 200 more pages, which if I listen to this book on 2 times speed means I have about 3.5-ish hours to finish this. So I think I can finish it today. So I guess you'll see me later once I finished it. So I haven't finished this book yet, but I did want to come back here because I feel like in my first update, I was being a bit unfair to this book. Whereas now that I'm actually almost done, but I think I'm going to finish it in bed tonight and I'm not going to update you tonight. So I feel like now that I want to give you like my freshest thoughts now, and then either tomorrow or the day after give you my final thoughts. Right now I'm on chapter 30, page 250. So I have about 80 pages to go. So, okay, let's talk about the annoying thing first, and then I'm gonna talk to you about all the things I am loving. So I do have to say, Annie to me feels so fucking childish. Like she's supposed to be 30, yet she reads like, I'm not exaggerating when I say she reads like a 16-year-old sometimes. And a part of that maybe has to do with the audiobook narrator, because the voice she puts on for Annie is so high and squeaky and very childish. But also the things that she literally says, it's just so, like, I cannot believe a almost 30-year-old thinks the thoughts that Annie's thinking and says the things that Annie's thinking. Like, she's like around my age. Like, I cannot believe and to be like, I don't know anybody like her. And I feel like she's very world weary, yet she also reads like these smutty, filthy historical romances. So to me, I don't know, it doesn't really compute. I do like her, I think she's cute, but she's not really the kind of character that I gravitate to, really. Also, I feel like I'm missing a lot of background information about her and the family, and I think that is the reason for that is I think I haven't read the first book, and I think that may have something to do with it. I don't know if Sarah Adams goes more in depth about what it was like growing up, because the family lost both their parents and she was only 3. And she talks about it. Obviously, it's part of her story, but since she was so young, she hasn't really known her parents. I cannot imagine none of these books would go in depth. So I feel like maybe the older siblings books, and I feel like When in Rome, since it's the first book, goes more in depth about that. What we do get, however, is Will and his story. Like, at first he's very reluctant to share because he grew up in a household where his parents were very unhappy in their marriage, and therefore they rarely paid any attention to their kids. So he has one younger brother, and because of that, when he was a teenager, really focused on school, did anything to make his parents happy, yet they were never happy with him. And because of that, that is the reason he's so jaded. So he has no interest in a relationship. He doesn't want to get married. He thinks being married will only lead to bad things. And that story, like that background, I do relate to. Not nearly as bad as what he went through. Like, my parents loved me and my brother. That was clear. They definitely had enough attention for us. That was not the point. But they weren't they are not happy in their marriage and have never been, as far as my recollection is concerned. So that part I do relate to, and it has affected me in how I approach relationships and stuff like that. Not as severe as Will. I don't think marriage is evil or anything. And I do want to be in a relationship, so that's not the problem there. So I do relate to that, and I have not really seen a storyline like that ever. So I do enjoy is a big word, but I do like that, like relating to a character in that way. Sticking with Will, I do like getting to see him break, because anytime they are together, you see his hard shells crack a bit more. He's doing things with Annie he's never done with another woman. So far, they've not had sex yet because she's still a virgin, but even though he has all this experience, he's never actually had a sleepover with a woman, whereas with Annie, he has done that. And even like them kissing for him is like a revelation. And I also like him as a character. He's not judgy at all. Like, she definitely has some quirks and some things that I think a lot of other people would judge, yet he really goes with the flow with her, and I do enjoy that. What I also really like in this book is that, at least where I'm at now, it took them a while to get there, but I do like how open they are to each other, like in their conversations, and like how honest they are. I feel like miscommunication is not really a thing here, because anytime one of them realizes that they may have hurt the other one, or they misinterpreted something, they just talk it through, and I do enjoy that. And that surprised me because it is a very short book, but I do feel like it has a lot of depth to it. I am enjoying it. Do I think it will be 5 stars? I don't know. I guess you'll have to wait for my next update. Oh, what I also really love is the town. Like, this just reminds me of Stars Hollow in the best way. I love these meddling townspeople. I love that, you know, when the town thinks that Annie is dating Will, and, you know, she's the good girl, he looks like a bad boy, they literally hold a vote whether or not the town thinks that they should break up. And it's so hilarious. Like, I mean, I would not want to live in a town like that. It's such a meddlesome town, but I love reading about towns like that. It just warms my heart in the best way. It is so fun. So I do enjoy that. But I do feel like no matter the rating I give this, I feel like other books in this series I'll like better, simply because this is just not my favorite type of FMC to read about. I do like that she's getting out of, like, that he brings her out of her shell a bit, that she can be herself with him. And I do feel like she's a bit different when she's with him as opposed to her siblings. And she does actually explain why she's not 100% herself, not even with her siblings. Because, and this is sad because, okay, so her parents died when she was 3. I don't know how old the other ones were, but I mean, they obviously had more time with their parents. So she felt like since her older siblings were grieving, she could not really take up more space than she needed to. And that kind of has just been how she's moved through the world ever since. So I do enjoy the fact that she gets to explore those sides of her with Will. And one scene that really broke my heart for her is, so she says, so she really loves physical touch, but she's never the one who initiates it with other people. Like, whenever somebody else will hug her, she'll hug them back and will love that, but she's never the one who initiates a hug. So when she's sick in this book, there's a caretaking scene that obviously I love. Will, I don't know how they get to this point, but Will tells her, you know, you're free to touch me whenever you want. And just him giving her that blank permission kind of lights her up. And then she thinks those thoughts about, you know, I love that, yet I never do it. And with him, I can, you know, just touch him whenever I want to, and not even in a sexual way at all. One thing I also really love is how he's a consent king. And I don't know if he would be like that with other women, but I like, and it's different for her because she's never really had, like, she doesn't have a lot of experiences with other guys. But, you know, at one point he literally asks her, okay, I'm gonna touch your hand, is that okay? And when she's sick and he needs to take her to the hospital, he tells her, okay, I'm gonna put your pants on now, please give me permission to do so. Or not even please give me permission, let me know if that's okay. And she does. Like, I don't know, I like that. It's just a small thing, but it helps her. And I just think, you know, why not ask those things? Like, whether or not she is sheltered or not, you know what I mean? So I think I've rambled enough about a 330-page book. I think my last update, unless things go horribly wrong for this book, I think my last update will be very quick, just giving you my rating and a couple final thoughts. So I'm gonna continue reading. I'm gonna take up my makeup, get into bed, and finish this book, and you'll see me in the next clip. So I finished this book last night. I'm giving it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I really loved, like, everything I already told you still stands. And what I forgot to mention, I really love the side characters very much. Especially Noah and Amelia, who they had the book before this one. So I am very much looking forward to getting to reading their book. That's going to be the next book I read. This was a solid romance. I can definitely understand why this series would be a lot of people's favorite series, because I feel like out of the more popular small town romances, this felt, to me at least, felt like the closest to like a Stars Hollow type vibe. Although saying that, I don't know. I think I've already read it by the time you're watching this, but If It Makes You Happy is the one that is being compared to a lot, being compared to Stars Hollow a lot. But like, for example, the Laurie Gilmore series, although I only read the second book in that series as well, I felt like this feels more like Stars Hollow to me than the Laurie Gilmore series from the one book I read in that series. But like a lot of like the Lucy Score books, also small town romance, I felt like this encompassed the type of small town that I know the best. So I did enjoy it. The reason it's not 5 is for the criticisms I already said. I feel like Annie's character, and especially like her character, like I feel like I know her a bit less than Will, and like I said, that might be my own fault. Like it might be like if I just started with When in Rome, her character would make a bit more sense to me. I do like the progress she made in this book, and I do like that because of Will, she did change and felt the need to be more honest with her siblings. I feel like what was missing for me was the whole vibe. Like this is a family of orphans. In this book, it is clear that it's basically the town that raised them. And I wanted a bit more of that. And we didn't really get to see that a whole lot in this book, at least. So 4.5, had a great time. The audiobook was great too. Although, like I said, her voice was a bit childish in my opinion. So I am looking forward to reading the rest of the books. I think I will also listen to them on audiobook. And I do know every book has different narrators, so I'm interested to see how they're going to be portrayed. What I like about this book, by the way, is the fourth book was set up in this one. And I know the fourth book came out in December of this year, so I am very much looking forward to that book as well. So yes. So as you could see, I really enjoyed it. So I do agree with BookTube on this one. Once again, I do feel like if I read like Beg, Borrow, or Seal, or When in Rome, or the fourth one, I might love it more. So maybe if I continue on with this series, you'll see one of these books in my favorites. 2 series share the 8th spot. Barry's Bay by Carly Fortune was mentioned 29 times. 4 people mentioned Every Summer After. And 25 people mentioned One Golden Summer. So Every Summer After I've not read, nor will I read it. And I tell you my reasons why in my vlog of reading One Golden Summer. This I read for this vlog, so let's cue to the vlog clips of me reading One Golden Summer. So I started One Golden Summer and I am on page 202. Before I talk to you about this book, I have to tell you my history with Carly Fortune because I've read 2 books by her. Meet Me at the Lake might actually be the worst book I've ever read. I despise that book. Okay, I loathe that book. That book is just not good, like objectively not good. Okay, then I read the book she released in 2024 for the Goodreads Choice Awards. Let me look up what that book is called. This Summer Will Be Different. And that book, even though I liked it more than Meet Me at the Lake because nothing could be as bad as Meet Me at the Lake, that book I also didn't really love. I gave it 2 stars. Oh no, 2.5 stars. Okay. So after I finished it, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this to her? Apparently, she's just not the author for me. It feels unfair to keep picking up her books when I know I don't like her writing style. But I mean, I cannot really do anything about it because even though I didn't do it last year because I wasn't reading some, but I love reading like Goodreads Choice Awards nominees. I love doing obviously the BookTuber favorites, and she's just a popular author, so she's gonna make an appearance. So I actually decided, okay, let's then just listen to the audiobook while reading other books. So I did that, but I was enjoying this book too much. So I ended up ordering the book, and now I got to about 30% just listening to it, and this arrived today, and I continued tandem reading, and I'm really enjoying this book. I'm so surprised. So this is the second book in the Barry's Bay duology, I think. It might be a series, I don't know. The first one being Every Summer After, and that is a book I will never pick up because people say it's similar to what's that Christina Lauren book? Love and Other Words, and I did not like that book. So a book that is similar to it, I know I will not like. Plus things about cheating, I heard about that book, so I will not pick that book up. I will not. This is different, obviously. So I'm just gonna read this and never read the first one. Okay, so this book you follow Alice and Charlie, and Alice just got out of a 4-year relationship where her boyfriend broke up with her and she did not see it coming. She's a photographer, and she actually got sorry guys, I had to charge my battery, so if things change, then you know why that is. I think I remember where I was in my synopsis. So when she was 17, I'm pretty sure, she took a picture on the lake of these 3 teenagers in this like yellow speedboat. And I'm pretty sure, so one of them is Charlie, the MMC of this book, and the other 2 are the main characters of the first book in this series. And that picture brought her kind of success in her career as a photographer. So it got her into a photography school and basically started her career. But she's kind of struggling with her life as a photographer. Like, she wants to take like authentic pictures, whereas the magazines that she's taking pictures for want her to like edit out imperfections of like, she doesn't want to do that. Her grandmother is sick, and she knows that her grandmother used to be happiest in Barry's Bay, so she decides to take off for the summer and take her grandma to Barry's Bay. When they get there, there's something that's going on with her grandmother, Carly Fortune, and that is one of the things I didn't like in her other books, and it doesn't bother me too much in this one because there's other things that I do like about this book, but I already know seems to be some sort of mystery with the grandma that has to do with the owners of the house they're staying in. And I can already tell you it's probably going to be like some stupid mystery that I don't care anything about. I find that these mysteries that Carly Fortune weaves into her stories usually are pretty lackluster and don't really amount to anything. Moving on, they're staying in this like family friend's house, and he hasn't stopped by, but he knows that her grandmother is having trouble getting around. So he asked the neighbor, Charlie, to like do some stuff and help them around the house. So he does that. And like I said, he is one of the guys in like that she took that famous picture of. During the summer, he's like keeps coming around. They see each other every day and they get closer. Charlie seems to have a secret, and I think I know what it is, but I don't want to say in case I'm correct, and that's a spoiler. They're attracted to each other. She seems to be different with him. He allows her to be a bit looser with him, whereas in her normal life, and especially with her ex, she always tried to tame herself down for him and really acquiesce to what he wanted. Like, for example, she has like this wild curly hair, and she always used to style it. Like, she always used to straighten it for her ex, whereas Charlie loves her fiery red hair. That is one thing, but there are more things where he's like, no, I don't make yourself smaller. I want the real you. Charlie is very handsome, and he has had a past of like really sleeping around. And they're both attracted to each other, but Charlie really wants to keep them as friends. Where I'm at now, they finally crossed the bridge and have decided to like be friends with benefits, because since she's also like, she's come out of a long-term relationship, and it's clear that he cannot give her a long-term relationship, Charlie. They agree to just be friends with benefits, but that is also not something he has ever done, like slept with a very good friend of his, which yes, maybe, they've only known each other for a month, yet they're very close friends. I can't get that. They've seen each other, like they see each other every single day. I've had that happen in the past, where if I see somebody every single day, they can feel like a best friend after only a month. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I'm pleasantly surprised because I thought I was gonna hate it considering every other Carly Fortune book I've read. Do I think that this will be a 5-star and a favorite for me? I don't think so. But then again, I don't know. I'm only halfway through, and this book could surprise me just like it already has in the first half. In the past, I found Carly Fortune's writing style to be a bit cheesy, and I felt like she used some lines that seemed like she was like that were profound, but they came off kind of annoying to me. She doesn't do that in this, or at least I'm not noticing in this book, so that is a good thing. I'm also listening to this on audiobook. I believe Carly Fortune herself narrated, and I think she's doing a very good job. So I'm just enjoying myself. Is it weird that I'm reading this summary book in January? Yes, it's literally snowing outside, but I'm enjoying myself. I feel like she is doing a very good job with the atmosphere and the fact that it's set on this lake. And oh yeah, what I also really love about this book is, so her grandmother is with her, of course. And I like the relationship that Charlie is building with the grandmother. I like that. I always like that in books where there's a side character, like a family, whether that be like a younger sibling or a child or a parent or a grandparent, and like the significant other gets close to them. I really enjoy that. There was just a fun scene where, so her grandmother is in pain. Alice walks in on her grandmother and Charlie having smoked weed together. And then later, so she gets pissed off, but then later he told her that his grandma asked him to kind of help her sleep. So that was a fun scene. Like that was just between them, whereas Alice has nothing to do with it. It did bring up some insecurities about Alice because Alice is always like the goody two shoes, nobody, like not the fun one. And to have even her grandmother smoke weed with Charlie and like knowing that they didn't invite her kind of brought up some old wounds for her. I am interested to see if my prediction about Charlie and what he has going on is correct. So I'll have to see about that and like the mystery with the grandmother. So basically the mystery, there's something up with like the owner of the house they're staying in and the grandmother. And I don't know what that is. And honestly, I could care less, but we'll have to see. I guess I'll update you once I finish it because yeah, I'm a bit over halfway through. So I need to read about 170 more pages. So I will talk to you once I'm done. So it is freezing here. I don't know if it's freezing, but it's like snowing really hard. And I'm getting ready to go out in the snow. And one thing I hate is walking in the snow in the Netherlands because it gets so icy. And like there is a good chance I'm gonna fall. So I'm kind of delaying the inevitability because I really have to go to the grocery store. So I figured let's give you my review for One Golden Summer, which I think, you know, is very fitting for the weather we're having. Do you like my beanie? So it says no mourners, no funerals. It is a Six of Crows beanie. Usually these things just don't look good on me, but I do think I like this one on me. Anyway, moving on. I finished One Golden Summer and I'm gonna give it 5 stars. Listen, nobody is more surprised at this rating than I am because like I said, I haven't had the best track record. I wasn't gonna read this. I was gonna avoid everything in my power to read this, but I'm very glad I did. Do I think this will stick with me? Do I think I will think about these characters next year around this time? I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe because I really enjoyed myself. I really liked both characters. I liked that this follows not older characters because they're literally like she's my age. She turns 33 in this book. But I do like that. I feel like a lot of romances just follow like younger 20-year-olds, which I mean, that's fine. I'll read anything really. But I like that I could relate a bit more to her. Plus this whole summer and just falling in love with somebody because you're with them every single day. That I also very much related to. The plot line that I guessed that did end up happening, but I do feel like it was a twist on what I thought it actually was. And what it actually was, okay, I know I'm trying not to spoil it, but that also kind of hits close to home for me. And I feel like she did a good job with that. I like how this was a nice balance of, I feel like as far as percentages go, more lean towards the romance. Like I would say like 60% of this book, maybe even 70% of this book was definitely the romance. But I also like the FMC's journey in here. I like how she started off this book really unsure about her photography, feeling like she lost like some of her spark that she had when she first started taking pictures when she was 17. And I do like how this summer made her kind of loosen up, made her discover what she really loved about photography, but just because she was experimenting. Plus, I also like in here how, you know, she used to be this girl or woman, I should say, that made herself small or really, especially towards in a relationship, she really basically did whatever the guy wanted, like including just straightening her hair all the time, stuff like that. And I like how that changed. And yes, that was partly because of Charlie and the fact that he liked all those things about her. Charlie, I really enjoyed. Like, I like that. Like, I like him. I wish I could go to the lake in the summer and meet somebody like him and fall in love with him and end up being with him. Some of the choices he made, I feel like it made sense for his character and like for the plot. So I didn't feel like things just came out of left field. I like I said, interactions with the side characters, because I do feel like in the books I read before this one, especially Meet Me at the Lake, I felt like one of my criticisms of that book, which I had many, was that I felt like she didn't do the side characters well. Like, I felt like there were a lot of side characters, they didn't add anything. I feel like she did a good job with the side characters in this, especially the grandmother. I thought she did a wonderful job with the grandmother. I love the relationship he ended up having with the grandmother too. And we did see the characters from the first book in here, Percy and Sam. And I do have to say, if you've not read this book yet, but you're interested in the first book, then you have to read the first book, because this spoils a major plot point in that book. I, like I said in the beginning, have no interest in reading the first book, so I was fine being spoiled. Yeah, but other than that, like, technically you can read this without having read the other one, because I did, obviously. I think she did a good job with the setting. That is also a criticism I had for Meet Me at the Lake, where I felt like she didn't do anything with the setting they had. I feel like she did a great job with this lake, like the way they were out in the water a lot. I could vividly picture the cottage she was staying at, obviously the yellow boat they had. I thought she did a good job. And this was a solid romance. I understand why it was a lot of people's favorites. Like I said, I cannot say for sure now. Maybe it will be mine next year, like at the end of the year, obviously. But for now, I just had a good time. I gave it 5 stars, no notes, honestly. And I do have to say, like I said, one thing that came to mind. This was a bit more open door than the other 2 books I read by her, so I did enjoy that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like if I have a choice between a closed door sex scene and an open door sex scene, I will always choose the open door. It's not graphic, it's not in detail. They're pretty short, but I felt like the door was open just a little bit for me to peek through. So yeah, I had an enjoyable time. I probably would have enjoyed it a bit more had I actually read it in the summer, but you know, I was actively boycotting this book in the summer, so here we are reading it in the dead winter on January 6th. As you could see, this really surprised me after my not so great relationship with Carly Fortune, so I am glad that I, for once, agree with BookTube on this book. The other 8th spot is, of course, the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I'm not gonna hold up the entire series because it's too heavy, but 6 people mentioned either the entire series or more than 1 book. 1 person mentioned The Assassin's Blade. 2 people mentioned Throne of Glass. 1 person mentioned Crown of Midnight. 4 people mentioned Heir of Fire. Editing Aya here. See, I knew while I was filming that I was missing a couple books because I got through that faster than I should have. I forgot some of my favorite books. So 3 people mentioned Queen of Shadows and 4 people mentioned Empire of Storms. 1 person mentioned Tower of Dawn and 7 people mentioned Kingdom of Ash. As you can see by my very old covers, I 100% agree with BookTube on this one. This is like one of my favorite series of all time. This is my favorite Sarah J. Maas series, in fact, so 100% agree with BookTube. 2 books share the 7th spot. The first one is Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. 30 people mentioned this book, and I wholeheartedly agree with them because this is my favorite book I read this year. I absolutely loved it. I reviewed it, so check out my review if you're interested in more of my in-depth thoughts. The other book in 7th place is Alchemized by Senlin Yu. Once again, one of my favorites I read this year. So I also 100% agree with BookTube on this one. I did 2 videos for this one. I did a non-spoiler reading vlog and I did a in-depth spoiler discussion for this book. So check those videos out if you're interested. In 6th spot is the Heartstrings series by B.K. Borison. 31 people mentioned this series. 28 of them mentioned First Time Caller, which is the first book, and 3 people mentioned And Now Back to You. So I had not read First Time Caller before this video, so let's cue to me reading First Time Caller. I started First Time Caller yesterday, and I feel so sucky right now. Like, I feel bad, I'm in pain, I have cramps. It's just like I'm not having the best time living, but I am having the best time with this book. This is so good. The way I'm giggling and kicking my feet, like as far as I can kick my feet when I'm in so much pain. This is the first book in the Heartstrings series by her. Is that what it's called? Yeah. And this I guess is a Sleepless in Seattle retelling, which I've not read that, or I've not watched that movie, I don't think. And if I have, it's a very long time ago. This book you follow Aiden, Valentine, and Lucy. And Aiden is this radio show host, and he's the host of Baltimore's romance hotline Heartstrings. The premise of that show is people will call him and they will ask him all sorts of like love related questions and advice on like how they should handle certain things that have to do with love. He used to be a romantic, but because of stuff that happened in his family and also like these calls that he's been fielding that all made him become pretty pessimistic, grumpy, and not really believe in love too much, until this 12-year-old girl calls him asking for advice on her mom, because she never really has seen her mom date. She thinks her mom is lonely, and Lucy, who's the mother of said 12-year-old, hears her on the phone with this man. So she picks up the phone, chews the man out for talking to her 12-year-old girl, and then he explains like who he is and that it's a radio show. So she ends up on the call with him, telling him that she still believes in love, and like they have a conversation and her views on love, what she's looking for, and a bit about herself, that she's been holding herself back, stuff like that. That interview goes viral. So the radio station that's been struggling asks Lucy to come and host this radio show with Aiden, and they're gonna switch things up into it becoming like a segment of trying to find her love. But of course, while they are doing that, they're gonna fall in love. I love this book so much. I love Aiden and Lucy together. I think they work very well. I like how they're how they're flirting, how they're bantering on air. I like their first conversation together, but also their first meeting. I thought their first meeting was meet cute and a half. I really love Lucy's family situation that is going on, because Lucy actually had her daughter when she was only 18. And it was actually, so she had sex with her best friend and she got pregnant after her first time having sex. Both their parents kicked them out. They're not speaking to them anymore. And they used to live together, but her ex now has a husband and they actually are neighbors. So I love that little family dynamic, the way that the father of her kid, Grayson, just barges in whenever he wants to. The fact that they're best friends, like they literally call each other platonic soulmates. The relationship she has with his husband. The fact that they have family dinner every Wednesday. I really love that. Like I felt like the way she describes it makes me feel like I've known these people my entire life. What I wish, but this is not the type of story. I really am interested to learn more about, what that was like when they were younger, raising this child when they were like teenagers and young 20-year-olds. But I mean, like I said, it's not that story. But I would watch a TV show like Gilmore Girl-esque style about them trying to figure it out. She's a mechanic. So that is interesting to read about, like this woman in a male-dominated field. I do feel like we're getting more about her than about him, which makes sense since she has a daughter and, it's a bit more complicated. It seems like we only see him at the radio station. We don't really see a whole lot of scenes with him outside. So I'm really hoping, because I feel like the next chapter is them finally making something happen. We're getting a bit more of that. There was already a scene where they go out and they're both drunk, and that just made me so happy. I do have to say, so I've never been to Baltimore, but it seems like Baltimore, the way this book portrays the guys in Baltimore, most of them suck. Like aside from the guys that work at her mechanic shop, I have dated a lot, and I've never, that has never happened to me. What has happened to her on these dates while she's trying to find love with this radio show. And she already had two very sucky things happen to her. And I'm like, how does that happen? I get it if it happens once in a span of months of you dating, but you just started dating again. Half of the country is listening in on you trying to find love. How does it happen that you get these two very sucky interactions when you are kind of vetting these people? The radio station is vetting people. That part felt a bit like a knock on the city of Baltimore that I don't know. It felt a bit crazy to me. But yeah, like I said, I'm loving it. I have to say, when I first started it, I was getting a bit fatigued reading these books because, like I said, I'm reading these out of order, but this is one of the last books I'm reading for this vlog. I was like, oh my God, I'm waiting for this vlog to be finished because I'm kind of I want to move on to other books. But when I got to the point where she actually started joining the show, I just kept reading and couldn't stop. I'm just so highly entertained. I am tandem reading this, so I'm listening to this on audiobook as well. And it's not a duet narration, but after every chapter, there's a segment of the radio. And this is a shorter one, but there are longer ones as well. And it has sound effects, and it also, that is the part that's duet. So Lucy will do herself and other women speaking on the phone, and like the narrator for Aiden will do his voice and other people, like other men on the phone. I'm enjoying it. I like Aiden being jealous because it's obvious that he has a crush on her, and they actually admitted it to each other that they have a crush, but both of them are looking for different things. So that he did say like, it's a crush, it will pass. But I like how he's already jealous of these men trying to talk to her, and like he's not shy about it at all. Like it is clear, and listeners also notice that both of them seem to be crushing on each other. So, I mean, this is just a tale as old as time, isn't it? A guy or somebody trying to help the other find love, and they're gonna fall in love in the meantime. I don't care. It works. Like there's a reason it's such a popular trope. It's because it works. So I'm gonna continue reading. Tomorrow I'm filming the part where I'm going through the top 15 with you guys. So I think I'll just give you my thoughts during that portion. It is so good. I'm freshly laundered, and I figured let's just give you a different type of setting where I'm filming, because I have just been filming on my couch. I realized I started editing this video and I was like, oh, there you are on the couch again. Anyway, I finished First Time Caller. I know I told you in my update I was gonna talk about it while I was filming, but I finished this book quicker than I thought I would because I was enjoying it so much. I gave it 5 stars. It was great. I really, really, really love this book. I feel like we got a bit more of Aiden in the second half. Still not as much as Lucy, but that makes sense because Lucy has a child. She has a very close relationship with her ex, whereas Aiden, because of his personality, he keeps people at a distance, so it makes sense that he's not as close to his people as Lucy is to hers. Aiden in the bedroom, however, oh my god, he was so hot. I did not expect that. I did not expect the things that were coming out of his mouth to come out of his mouth, and I ate everything he set up. I was willing to do anything he asked of me. He was great. I really love this book. They were both great. One tiny criticism I have, because like I said, I gave it 5 stars, is I wish we gotten to see more scenes of Aiden with Lucy's people. We got a bit of that, but you know, after finishing it, I was just left wanting more, and I know that the rest of the books are not gonna follow Lucy's family specifically. Like I know we're already getting, I believe we're getting, yeah, it's called Heartstrings. So we're getting the Weatherman's story is gonna be next. I believe the owner, or like his boss, she's gonna get the next, like the 3rd book, I believe, if my sleuthing is correct from what I've gathered from this book. So we're not really getting Lucy and her kid and her ex and that whole dynamic. And that was one of my favorite things about this book. So I wish we'd gotten to see a bit more of that, like I said, and especially Aiden, because the bit we got with Aiden interacting with Grayson and Aiden interacting with Maya, I loved it so much. So this was my first BK Borison. It will definitely not be my last. In fact, I have not done yet tallying up all the books, but there's a good chance you've already seen me read a book by her. But I own the first in her Love Light Farm series, and that series has been on my TBR for ages now, so I really want to finally start it. And I'm gonna read the 2nd book in this series either when it comes out, but I'm sure it's gonna be either in the Goodreads Choice Awards or for sure maybe in the next Booktuber favorite. So yeah, I had a great time. I understand why it's a lot of people's favorites. This was a great contemporary romance in my opinion, and it did make me want to watch Sleepless in Seattle, so maybe I should do that. As you could see, I really loved it, so I agree with BookTube on this one. I seem to be very much in line with what everybody loves. I'm not original in any way. 3 books or series share the 5th spot. And this is where I'm gonna disagree with BookTube for a bit. The first one is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. 32 people mentioned this in their favorites video. I don't really agree. I understand why it's a lot of people's favorites. It's not mine. I did a vlog reading this. I believe I gave it 3 stars. Let me actually check. Yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It was not really for me. It didn't really feel that romantic to me. I don't know. Check out my vlog for it if you really want to know all my reasonings for why I gave it 3 stars. The Night and the Moth also was mentioned 32 times, so it's also in 5th place. I had not read this book yet, so let's cue to the vlog clips of me reading this book. So I started The Night and the Moth. I'm on page 155, chapter 13. And right now it's snowing. I don't know if you can see that. I don't think you can. But I feel like while it's snowing outside is the perfect time to read a Rachel Gillick book. This book, actually, I started in November because my plan was to read the top 10 for the Goodreads Choice Romantasy category, and I had already read 7 books in the top 10, and like one of the few I had not read yet was The Night and the Moth. So I actually started it. I think I read the first 4 chapters. Yeah, I read like the first section, but I DNF'd it. Like, I knew it was a soft DNF, and the reason I DNF'd it is because I really couldn't get into this book, and I was slumping, and I didn't want my slump to ruin this book for me. I read the Shepherd King duology by her, and I really loved it. So I knew it was me and not the book. So I DNF'd it, scratched that video, unfortunately, the Goodreads Choice Award video. But I mean, I hoped this would make an appearance in the BookTube's most favorite romance/romantasy video I do, because I actually read One Dark Window for this video. So I'm glad, and that was the best decision I've ever made, DNFing it back then, because I'm really enjoying this book. So I started it today, and I did not reread the first 4 chapters because I did find, like, even though I was slumping at the time, I do remember a lot of things that happened in the first 4 chapters. And I just wanted to get more towards the action, which I knew, like, the first 4 chapters from what I've read was a bit more exposition that I didn't feel like I needed to reread 3 months later. So that was a lot of rambling, and I haven't even told you what this book is about yet. You follow Sybil, and Sybil is a diviner, and diviners are these women who, when they're very young, I don't know what age, they get taken to this abbey, and they have to live there for 10 years, and they have to give out fortunes for people who are paying the abbey for their fortunes being told. The way they tell fortune is literally by drowning. So the mother of the abbey, I guess, she drowns them. That's how they can tell somebody's fortune. And one day, the king comes. He's a boy king. I don't know how old he is, but he's very young. And his knight, he's looking to get his fortune told, and Sybil's the one that has to do it, even though nobody knows her name is Sybil. All these diviners get a number. So you have 1 through 6, and she's number 6. She tells his fortune. He has very bad fortune. So the king has a knight called Roderick, or Rory, and they immediately don't get off on the right foot. They hate each other. He's very dismissive of what she is, being a diviner, and she thinks he's rude and doesn't like him. And then her sister diviners start disappearing, but one by one. And when she's the last one left and she thinks she's gonna be the one that disappears also, Roderick finds her, and together with a gargoyle named Bartholomew, or I don't know his name, but he calls everybody Bartholomew, they go on a quest to try and find her diviner sisters. I really am enjoying this book. Like I said, it was a great decision to DNF it when I was slumping, because I am flying through this book. I remember the Shepherd King duology by her being a bit slower paced. I feel like this is a different type of story, a different type of writing style. I think this book is so funny, especially the gargoyle, and I knew he would be from every favorites video I watched that mentioned this book. Almost all of them mentioned the gargoyle. I can definitely see why. I already laughed out loud a couple times because of him. I like the dynamic between Sybil and Rory. While she's going through like the rest of, like, she's only known the abbey. So now getting to explore the rest of the world, she slowly starts finding out maybe some lies she's been told or things that aren't quite what they seem, which I do find interesting. I am interested to find out like what actually happened to these diviners. There's some mystery going on in this world and having to do with like the omens she sees when she's divining. that are unclear to me now, and I'm interested to find out what the deal is with that. So far, they haven't really adventured a lot yet. So even though I'm really enjoying this book, I feel like right now, 150 pages of the way through, not a lot has happened. I feel like, yes, obviously, more things have happened. The ones I told you about, like the diviner, she just left. But I feel like we're just at the beginning of their journey. Also in the romance department, nothing much has happened yet. Although there was one scene that I was swooning over. So when her diviner sisters are still with her, they go out for the night with the knights and the king. The king has this game that he's playing, and at one point he tells Rory and the rest of the knights, you know, the pretty one will go next. And Rory is the only one looking at Sybil, thinking that she's the prettiest one, and the rest are looking at a different diviner. And I found that so adorable. I really like that. Yeah, I like the bickering, bantering these two have going on. And Bartholomew, yes, he's a real MVP. I love him so much. I love how extreme he is with his emotions. He provides a lot of comedy, but also a lot of heart to this story. He makes Sybil a bit more likable. Not that she's unlikable, but I feel like I don't really know her. But the fact that Bartholomew loves her so much makes me more endeared to her. Because right now, like I said, I don't know her because her past is lost. Like she doesn't, well, she's supposed to not remember anything that happened to her before getting to the Abbey. But it seems like with her, things are different. She does remember stuff. So yeah, I'm just enjoying it. There's a map that is very easy to follow. So yeah, I'm just having the best time. Like I said, it is different than her Shepherd King duology. So if you really love One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns and you think this is going to be exactly like that, it is not. But I do enjoy this book. And I do think Rachel Gillick will be like one of my favorite authors. I just love the things she comes up with. So yeah, that is my thoughts so far. Maybe since I don't really have a whole lot to say, maybe I'll update you before finishing it. But I guess you'll find out in the next clip. So I finished Night and the Moth yesterday, and I wanted to take the day to really think about my thoughts because when I finished it, I gave it 4 stars, but now sitting on it, I changed it to 3 stars. I was a bit like, I was a bit hesitant. So first it was like, no, it's a 3.5, but really it's a 3. So I'm really sorry if you really love this book. I can understand why a lot of people love it. I can understand why it's a lot of people's favorites, but I feel like I had too much criticism for me to love it as much as other people did. Let's talk about the things I really loved first. First of all, I really like Rory. I like how he blushed anytime she did something or said something. I love a man who blushes. That was so sweet, especially since he's supposed to be like this mighty knight, this very powerful figure, and yet she could bring him to his knees like that. I did enjoy that. I liked pretty much every interaction with them, and I believe I said that in my first update. I did really love her writing. Like, I know Rachel Gillick knows how to write. I've read the Shepherd King duology, and she just sometimes I was reading a line and I just had to sit and stare at it because it was so profound. I think she's a fantastic author. Like, she really knows how to weave together sentences. It is a bit flowery, so I can see why it might not work for some people, but it worked for me, and I ate all that up. Like, I loved it. I of course really loved Bartholomew. Like, I loved the gargoyle in here. He was so amazing. He was the best thing in this book. He was the real MVP of this story. I really loved Maud. Maud is her name, right? So while reading this book, I was like, how is this a duology? Like, surely this could have easily been one story. And then that last chapter, I had my jaw on the floor. I did not see it coming at all. So I did enjoy that, especially going to my criticism. I did like how I was surprised by that last chapter. My biggest criticism with this book is I felt like there weren't any stakes when there was supposed to be. Like, technically, if you think about it, there were stakes. But so basically this book is them going through these different hamlets. So if I can show you the book, I think it makes more sense. So everywhere. So this is a hamlet, that is a hamlet. Over here, there's a hamlet. Down here, yes, and over here. And anytime they were in a hamlet, there was this god that they needed to defeat. basically. And once they defeated said god, they would get his, like, their token that gave them magic. And I wasn't on the edge of my seat for any of these confrontations with these gods. Like, I think the first one, yes. The first one I actually saw, but like from them going to the Fervent Peaks on, nothing of what happened. I was like scared something would happen to the main character. It felt like, I don't know, I felt like she needed to create tension and she didn't manage to do so. Some of the things that were happening were ridiculous. Like, I could not suspend my disbelief thinking that Sybil, who was like supposed to be like a nun type figure in this world, could within 3 days become strong enough to defeat a thing with immeasurable power when she had nothing to aid her in said challenge. Also, the challenges were convoluted and I didn't understand why it needed, like, why I cannot really talk a whole lot about it, but for the people who read it, I didn't understand why they needed to go through those trials or those challenges in the way they did, like challenging them to their craft or whatever. That, I mean, I understood the concept, but to me that was not like the only way, in my opinion, to defeat these beings. So that made no sense. And because none of that made sense, because there was no real stakes, a lot of this book was kind of boring. Yeah, everything up to the Fervent Peaks, I was enjoying it. I didn't find it boring, but after a while, I believe after my first update, I got bored quite a lot. And the romance, okay, so I've said it, I believe I said it also in my last video. This is not a true romance in my opinion. It's more of a fantasy with a heavy romance subplot. I felt like this romance was, first of all, insta-love. Second of all, unbalanced. And if you watch a couple of my videos, then you know how I feel about unbalanced relationships, because by the time she was still questioning whether or not she was in love with him, he already told her multiple times that he would do anything for her, that he would give up anything for her. Like, it was clear he was so much more in love, so much deeper in this like relationship than she was. And honestly, I didn't understand why he was so in love with her. And I feel like this could have definitely benefited from being dual point of view, because this book is single point of view. And if I know, like, if this goes the same way as the Shepherd King duology, the second book will be dual point of view. But since it was single point of view, and Sybil, like, if you really think about it, she doesn't really have a personality, because she doesn't remember anything from her past before going to Ailing Tower, I guess. Ailing Cathedral. I mean, she knows snippets, but she doesn't know anything about her personality or who she was before she got there. And the last 10 years, she spent without a name, constantly drowning and dreaming. And they didn't really do anything to build up a personality. So I didn't understand what he was falling in love with, really. Like, yes, they were bantering a bit. So I could understand why he was intrigued with her, but to be so in love by the point where he was saying those things, I could not really believe it. And like I said, I loved Rory. Like, I loved this blushing knight, and I really loved his background story as well. But yeah, so the plot wasn't really working for me. The romance wasn't really working for me. So yeah, the 3 stars really is for the writing and for some of the side characters. I also felt like, I don't know, and maybe that is the same criticism as me not understanding why Roderick fell in love with her so quickly, is I felt like there was a bit of distance between myself and the main character. I felt like I said, I felt like I didn't know her too well either. When I sometimes read books, I can clearly understand why a character is doing the things she's doing or they're doing. And here, I don't know, I felt like I was not really into this book the way I sometimes am with books. Like, for example, if I compare it to the other, like, fantasy romance I read. I don't know if you're seeing this one. No, I think you're seeing this one before, so I cannot really talk about that. But, like, even in the Shepherd King duology, like, I understood. I don't know if I can articulate it better than I felt like there was some distance between myself and Sybil. And like I said, that may have something to do with the fact that she, like, it could make sense for her as a character, since she was still trying to figure out who she was, and because of all that time that had been lost to her, and the fact that she didn't really have a life for 10 years. but that didn't make this any more enjoyable. So 3 stars. Bartholomew is a king amongst men. I love him. And I am really excited because I really thought, like, getting closer to finishing, I was debating whether or not I was just gonna read this and not read the sequel. But the last chapter made me really want to read the second book. And I do feel like my main criticisms with the plot and the fact that this one was so convoluted, I felt like there were no real stakes. I do think those things, hopefully, I do think there's a good chance that those things will be resolved in the second book. So we'll have to see. The second book only comes out in like September or something, I read. So that's going to be a long wait. But yeah, I'm really sorry if you really love this book, if it was one of your favorites and I gave it 3 stars. This is not bad by any means, and I would still highly recommend it. Like, especially given the amount of people that have put this on their favorites list. So this might just be a me thing. Obviously, reading is subjective, so take my thoughts with a grain of salt. As you could see, I also have some mixed thoughts on this one. I understand why a lot of people love it, but I gave it 3 stars, so there's that. This is now becoming more of a Jenga tower. The last series in 5th spot is the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Robert. Powerless was mentioned 6 times. Powerful, which is a novella, was mentioned 4 times. Reckless was mentioned once. Fearless was mentioned 20 times. And Fearful is another novella, was mentioned once. I've only read Powerless, which I read for Booktuber Favorites of 2024, so check that video out. Once again, if I had more time, I would have continued on with the series, but I had to make some choices, and this one was the one I decided to not read for this vlog, but I do want to finish the series. So I gave Powerless either 4.5 stars or 5 stars, so I did enjoy it. So let's put Fearless here. I guess, like, for the book I read, I do agree with BookTube on Powerless. 1 standalone and 1 series share the 4th spot. The first one is the Fae and Alchemy series by Callie Hart. 39 people mentioned this series. 3 people mentioned both books. 27 people mentioned Quicksilver. And 9 people mentioned Brimstone. So let's cue to the vlog of me reading Quicksilver. Don't mind my hair, it's a mess. But I am currently reading Quicksilver. And I actually have 2 different editions of it. And, you know, you may call me crazy for buying 2 editions of a book I've not read yet. But, you know, past me knew that this was a good investment because I'm freaking loving this book. Oh my god. Listen, Kingfisher can get it any day of the week. Like, I would do anything he asked me. Anything he asked me. He is so sexy. Okay, so this is the first book in Callie Hart's like Fae and Alchemy series, which the first 2 books are out, and I believe the 3rd book will be out at the end of the year. And actually, this almost made it into my video I did in 2024. Or, yeah, beginning of the year, where I did BookTube's favorite romances of 2024, but it barely made it. But I was rooting for this book to make it because I knew I was gonna love it, and a lot of, like, the synopsis sounded so amazing. So I am glad it made it onto this year's list. And actually, another fun fact, when Brimstone came out, I had an idea of doing a vlog of reading Quicksilver and Brimstone in the same vlog, but I was slumping at the time. And now I'm glad I waited because right now I am the opposite of slumping. I'm like inhaling books. So I just wanted to give this book the best chance it had. Anyway, let me tell you what this book is about. So this book, you follow Cyrus, and she lives in this world, or in this country that is, it seems like a Hunger Games-like situation where there's different wards. The better wards, they get anything they want. They live very well. They get like the water they need. Like, they are living well. And other wards, like for example, the one Feyres lives in, they barely get anything. They don't even have enough water to drink. And it's just a dirty place where you cannot really survive. So of course, Feyres, to try and provide for her and her brother, she steals things. Now she has stolen something that belongs to one of the guards of the queen, which leads her to getting arrested, basically getting executed. Before she dies, this portal opens and this man, who she thinks is death coming to bring her home, this being shows up, and then she wakes up in a completely different realm, surrounded by fae, who she always thought were like folklore and myth. They tell her that that portal that was opened, there used to be portals all over the place that could transport you to different realms, but like the portals have been closed for, I believe, a century or longer. And they think that she's an alchemist, and they think that she's the key to opening these portals again, because the Fae country, I guess, where she got taken, the Ivelia, they are at war with a different kingdom. So they used to use these portals to get supplies from other realms. And I didn't tab this book. I really should have. Okay, so anyway, she also comes in contact with the male who saved her, Kingfisher. I love Kingfisher. I love him. They already have so many good scenes together. They constantly banter. She doesn't take his shit. He thinks that she's a weak human. In fact, he calls her, which is where the butterflies come in, he calls her Solaria or something. No, that's not what he calls her. No, her name is Salis. He calls her Osha, which is a type of butterfly, because this type of butterfly only survives for a day. And to him, like, these humans, in his lifespan, is similar to that butterfly who only survives for a day, because he's actually like 1700 years old. She also gets close to his sister, actually, who is a princess of the realm. Already we had a scene of them kissing, and it was so good. And I am tandem reading it, and that is the best decision I've ever made, because the audiobook, oh my god, the audiobook is so good. Both narrators are doing such a good job. Let me shout them out. Stella Bloom and Anthony Palmini. But Anthony Palmini, oh my god, his voice can get me to do anything, really. And what I also really love about this audiobook, which so only in the past year, like in 2025, have I really gotten into audiobooks. But I don't have a lot of experiences with audiobooks. What I really love about this book is, so it is a duet narration, because this book technically is only single point of view, but every man voice is narrated by the male narrator. What I like about this book, I'm sorry, I wanted to go somewhere with that, is like it's edited very well. So there is this, like, the Quicksilver that is part of the portals, they whisper to her, but it's like the voices of, like, there's like a lot of voices. So I like the way you get both narrators whispering to her. And then there's also a scene where they are at court and there are people reacting to Kingfisher being there. They also like use both narrators, and it's like edited like they're speaking on top of each other. It is so well done. Anyway, that is the narration side. This book is so good. I love both characters. I love every character I've encountered so far. Like, even back in the other world, like in the realm that Saris is from, I liked every character we interacted with. I liked Carrion Swift, who is a guy that is like a thief that she slept with once. I liked the interactions between them. Of course, I like Saris, although she's kind of like a heroine who sometimes does things that are so stupid that have severe consequences for other people, but I like her. Okay, because she's a competent character, and I like how feisty she is, how she doesn't take things lying down. And of course, I love Kingfisher. He's so, like, I like how he teases her, it seems like there's a lot to him. Obviously, he did something bad in his past, so he has this pendant. And if he doesn't wear it, he goes mad. And we already saw a scene of that. And that looks horrifying. Like I said, that one scene between them was already scorching hot. So I'm very much looking forward to more scenes of them. Did I tell you I was on page 200? I'm all over this place in this review. But I also really love his sister. And what I like so far in this book, so he does mention that humans can lie, but Fae can't. But it seems like these Fae are a bit more modeled after the Sarah J. Maas Fae, as opposed to like the more classical Faes, I guess, like the Cruel Prince Fae. I just am so enjoying it. I think this is gonna be like my new favorite series. I would be shocked if this is not gonna be a favorite of the year. Obviously, I'm only 1/3 of the way through because this is a 600-page book, but I'm just so excited, So yeah, to me, it feels like a solid romantasy. I can definitely see why this is very popular, why it was popular in 2024 and why it's still popular in 2025. And yeah, I'm so excited to read it. I think it's going to be a trilogy. That means I could read, like my goal is to read this entire trilogy this year because I already own Quicksilver as well. I already own Brimstone as well because like I said, I thought I was going to vlog the experience. But anyway, I think I'm going to leave it here because I don't want to spoil it for you. I think you'll just see me once I actually finish it, which hopefully will be, I don't know, I still have to read 400 pages. Right now it is like 8:30. So I do think I can read 100 more pages for sure, maybe more. I'm not sure. So tomorrow I have the day off. I still have the whole week off actually. So I'm debating. I still need to, I need to film this week. I don't know if I want to do it tomorrow. I don't think so. So I do have like the whole day to read tomorrow anyway. So there's a good chance I might actually finish it tomorrow. It doesn't matter for this vlog anyway, since this vlog is going to be all over the place because like it's not going to be in a, like I'm not reading these books in chronological order because I still don't know what the top 10 looks like when I finish watching every single video I need to finish for it. So yeah, I guess you'll just see me once I finish Quicksilver. I finished Quicksilver and it might be one of my favorite books I read this year. This was so good. This was everything I wanted. This was everything I wanted. This is honestly one of the best romantasies I've read in a while. It was so good. I can understand for sure why it's here. And the only thing I wish is that it was like more people loved it the year before so I could have read it for that vlog, but I love this book so much. This reminds me of Sarah J Maas in the best ways. Obviously it's a fae romance. Some things are going to be similar, but I feel like Callie Hart did everything right in this book. Like I loved the romance. I loved the side characters. And I really hope we're getting romances for the side characters as well because they are so vivid in my mind. I feel like she did such a good job with these characters. I feel like they actually exist. I really loved Kingfisher. I feel like he's such a good MMC, like such a sexy shadow daddy. I really love Saris as well, even though yes, especially in the beginning, she did do some stupid things, which I tend to not really love that in a FMC, but I feel like she had some character progression throughout this book, and I feel like she could be reasoned with if you actually explained why you wanted her to do something. So obviously, if it wasn't clear, I'm giving this book 5 stars. I cannot wait to read Brimstone. I'm not gonna read it now because I know the 3rd book's gonna come out in November. So I wanna kind of space it out a bit. So I think I'm gonna read Brimstone halfway through the year. I really love this book. It was so good. Like this is a 600-page book and I read it in 2 days. Like, once again, I inhaled this book. I could not stop reading. All I wanted to do was read this book. Whenever I wasn't reading, I was thinking about it. It was so good. I can definitely see why it is so popular. Like, this has everything I love in a romantasy and more. And I feel like she did a good job, like I said, with the characters, but also with the world building. It's not too complicated, but once she does have to explain something, she does do a good job explaining like what something looks like or how something works. So I did really enjoy that. One nitpicky thing that I didn't really love is, so there's a storyline here with a character called Danya, and she's portrayed as a bitch and just like the worst character, which would be fine, except she's one of the few female characters in this book, and I really thought we'd gotten past that, portraying one of the few female warriors in this book, and actually the only female warrior we get to see in this book as being this absolute bitch. I really hope she gets some character progression for her, and then she ends up, I don't know, like more of like a Nesta story arc, or I hope we get more, I hope we're getting more female characters in general to kind of offset that balance, because I feel like every male character we've met that is like, aside from the evil guys, are all amazing and funny and great. Whereas I feel like, besides Sarah's, there's only 3 female characters, one of which we don't really see a whole lot of. Like the other 2 we rarely see, and the only one we actually see a lot of is Danya, and she's just a bitch. So I don't like that. Having said that, it doesn't take away anything from this book. It's still 5 stars. I loved it. Like I said, I love the side characters. I really love Carrion. I'm very interested in his story. I've heard from a lot of people that we're getting more of him in Brimstone, and I cannot wait. I really love Ren. I love Firion. Is that his name? Loreth. Firion. Where did I get that from? Loreth. It was amazing. I just really want, like, I feel like my Fae mate is somewhere out there in a different realm. I need to find a portal to a different realm to my Fae mate, because I honestly think that's the only way I'll be happy in life. I love these types of books. So if you honestly have any recommendations for me of another book like this that is just as good, let me know, because I will eat that shit up. I cannot believe this has been around for over a year and I only now picked it up. So yes, highly recommend this. I can definitely see why it's so popular. It probably will make an appearance in my 2026 favorite books, because this was so good. As you could see, I really agree with BookTube on this one. This might be my favorite book I read for this vlog, so let's proudly display it here. I think I'm gonna... I need to hold this stack at some point. The other fourth place is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This book was mentioned 39 times as well. And once again, I had not read it yet, so let's cue to the vlog of me reading this. Hi! I started and finished The Favorites. I had every intention of coming here to update you, but I literally inhaled this book. Like, I read this book like I was going to be tested on it tomorrow. I was so intrigued and I wanted to know what was going on in this book. And I was set, had an entire buffet and left no crumbs, because that is what this book was. Okay, let me go back. So I could have updated you, because I read this book in an interesting way. So I read part 1 first, and then another book came in the mail that I had already started, which I think this book I've already talked about, which is One Golden Summer. So I took a pause from this book, finished One Golden Summer, and then got back. And when I got back, I did not stop. Like, I read the other parts in one day, which is about like 350 pages or so. I could not stop. Anyway, so The Favorite is a Wuthering Heights retelling, which I've not read Wuthering Heights, but I want to now after finishing this book. You follow famous ice dancers, Katerina Shaw and Rocha. And this is told in two ways. It is Katerina's story. She's telling us her story. But it's also people being interviewed for a documentary that is being made about these famous, infamous ice dancers. This audiobook is a 10 out of 10, so I tandem read it and I enjoyed that experience immensely, but the audiobook is so good. I honestly think, I don't know, I think I still would have enjoyed it had it not been for the audiobook, but the audiobook just like added like so much magic to me. Meet when they are like 11, I think. Anyway, they're very young. He is a orphan and he sees her on the ice and he starts watching her every day, until one day she goes up to him and she tells him, you know, why are you watching me? And eventually she convinces him that they should skate together and become ice dancers, because she is a really big fan of this famous ice dancer, Sheila Lynn, and she wants to be exactly like her. And this is Kat and Heath's love story and their rise to make it to the Sochi Olympics in 2014 and their rise to become Olympians, basically. And it's rife with love, heartbreak, scandal, tears, blood, sweat, blood, and tears. This book has everything. And I read this book and there were several times where my jaw was on the floor and I was like so scandalized and just wanted to know like more. I was so highly entertained. I do have to say, this is not necessarily a book I would pick up, because as you could tell by my synopsis, this is very angsty. There's a lot of time in this book where this couple like is hating each other, is not together, is actively doing stuff to hurt the other person. That is usually, I don't like that kind of angst in my romances, but maybe I should reconsider, because I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I could not stop reading, like I said. This had aspects of Daisy Jones and the Six. Like, obviously there's people being interviewed, and also kind of like the 7 Husbands, because I do feel like these people exist. Like, I just like with the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I want to Google Heath Rocha, and Katerina Shaw. Like, I think these people exist in my mind and I need to find them. I do have to say, like, most of these characters are unlikable. Like, the only likable person, in my opinion, is Gareth. And the rest are just assholes, really, like all of them. But I don't know, I feel like that made it even more fun for me. Like, I feel like just the fact that these were not very likable characters made me take a step back, not care as much if like bad things happen to them, which sounds horrible. Like, of course I cared, especially towards the very end. But like in the beginning, I was like, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, do that, hurt her. And like the other way around. I do have to say, like, especially Katerina, like she's the exact opposite of what I am as a person. Like, she will do anything to win, basically. Which, I mean, technically there's nothing wrong with that, but that is so opposite of who I am as a person that it was so entertaining to me. Like, I loved it so much. I do have to say, this is not, like, in my opinion, technically it's a romance, but it's not completely a romance. Like, this has multiple genres in it because there's a mystery in here that you're trying to figure out. Like, it starts off at a point where you're like, okay, what happened to these two? And there are like other mysteries woven in. I know Lane Fargo wrote a like thriller before this one, but it was so entertaining to me. Like, I could not stop. I wouldn't, like, I was sat and I was just clapping like a seal at feeding time. I just wanted to know what was going on. During this vlog, like usually when I read books, I tend to stop, watch a YouTube video, then go back. That is usually how I read. I cannot really sit there for a long period of time and continue reading. Or at least I could if I wanted to, but I don't really want to do that. But with this one, I just, like, there was a point where, like, I had to sleep, actually, but I just couldn't. I had to finish it. So I did. It was so good. I understand why it's a lot of people's favorites. It might even be mine for this year, even though this is, like, the 4th book I read this year. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. If you're, like, a pure romance reader, I don't know if I would recommend it to you. Because, I don't know, like, if you don't like angst, I wouldn't recommend this, honestly, because it's so angsty. There's a lot of time in this book where you're like, why are you even together? You're obviously hurting the person you claim to love, but it was so, like, scandalous and entertaining, and yeah. This made me realize I might want to read more of these books. So if you have any recommendations for me similar to this, more in the, like, scandal department, angsty department, let me know, and I will read it. Although I do have to say, I do think the audio helped in me, like, in my frustrations of most of the characters in this book. Having said all that, I did enjoy it. What I also really enjoyed, they are professional athletes and they go to different countries. I feel like she did a good job portraying those countries, even though we only got snippets of it. I feel like she did a job portraying them authentically, especially Japan, even though I've not been, but I've watched, since I'm going to Japan in a couple months, I've watched, like, a lot of videos about Japan. So I feel like she did a good job with that. I feel like she did a good job with Paris as well. So I did enjoy that. Yeah, I did really enjoy her writing style as well. And I feel like all of these characters, they leapt off the page for me. It was like I said, I felt like I knew, like, I feel like Katerina and Heath are real people, but also, like, the side characters, I feel like she did a good job with them too. Like, most of them are complicated. It's not all black and white. A lot of them have done shitty things, but yeah, I just enjoyed it. I can definitely see why it's a lot of people's favorite book. So yeah, 5 stars. As you could see, I also really agree with BookTube on this one. It was so entertaining, so let's put it here. Although out of all of them, this definitely is the least true romance out of all of them. Now for the top 3. None of the top 3 share a spot, so I have, like, 3 series to mention, which is good because I need to hold this stack now. Stay. In 3rd spot is the Windy City series by Liz Tom 40. 3 people mentioned the entire series or more than 1 book. 2 people mentioned Mile High. 3 people mentioned The Right Move. 4 people talked about Caught Up. 8 people mentioned Play Along. And 22 people mentioned Rewind It Back. So I believe I reviewed every single one of these books on my channel. For Rewind It Back, I did a dedicated reading vlog for just this one, so I'll leave that linked for you. I do agree with BookTube on this series. It is one of my favorite, like, sports romances I've read. My 2 favorites are definitely The Right Move and Caught Up, but I really loved all of them. I believe I gave 1 book 4 stars, 1 book 4.5 stars, and 3 book 5 stars. So definitely agree with BookTube on this series. In second place is the Boys of Toman series by Chloe Walsh. Okay, so I really need to hold this pile now, so I cannot really hold them all up. 2 people mentioned the entire series. 13 people mentioned Binding 13. 11 people Keeping 13. 6 people Saving 6. That is very apt. 9 people Redeeming 6. 1 person Taming 7. And 21 people mentioned Releasing 10. So I actually read Keeping 13 for Booktuber Favorites of 2023, and I really enjoyed it. And since this is a series I've been avoiding because I knew it was going to make me sad, I did decide to read Saving 6 for this vlog. So let's cue to me reading Saving 6. So I started Saving 6 by Chloe Walsh. So I'm on page 97 in the US version. And I'm on page 107 in the UK version. So I'm actually reading it on ebook, even though this is so fabulously floppy. But I just prefer reading these books in ebook form. So I just started year 3. Like I haven't started it yet, but I got to the 3rd year. You follow Aoife and Joey. So the Boys of Toman series, at least the first 4 books are 2 duology. So the first 2 books you follow Shannon and Johnny, and the second 2 books will follow Joey and Aoife, and Joey is Shannon's brother. So this book you actually go back in time. So you start the book off in 1999 when Joey is about to turn 13, and it's him starting his first year at like his secondary school, being dropped off by his brother Darren. And on the first day he meets the love of his life, Aoife. And Aoife is pretty forward, I guess. Like she immediately stares at him. Then when he walks away, she's the one chasing him. And she's the one that actually first tells him he's beautiful. So they flirt a bit. And then something happens. Darren actually leaves. And Joey starts a job at 13 at this auto repair shop. And that, like, Aoife's father is his boss. So after the first day, he kind of kept avoiding Aoife. And throughout the first 2 years of them interacting, she really just wants to know why he doesn't pay her any attention when she knows that he is attracted to her. He seems to literally pay any other girl in the class attention, and the only one he is not paying attention to is Aoife. Joey is like... Okay, so there's a reason I avoided this book for so long, because I actually read Binding and Keeping 13 in the beginning of 2024. And the plan was actually to read this duology in 2025, but I just couldn't get myself to read it because I knew it was going to be so sad, because the first duology was already sad, but I knew Joey's book was going to be sadder because, yes, obviously Shannon has gone through a lot, but I just knew that it was not even half of what Joey has gone through to protect his siblings from his awful and abusive father. So the Lynch siblings have like the most awful parents in the world, in my opinion. So his father is an alcoholic. He's very abusive. He abuses their mom, but he also abuses his kids. So they, like, whenever their father is drunk, but honestly, even if he's not drunk, they all have to watch their back because they know that he could just go off at any time. And Joey, since he's the oldest now, since Darren actually left. So you start the book off, like after the first chapter, Darren leaves because like he turned 18, he didn't want to live in that environment, which fair enough, but obviously you're leaving your 4 siblings to fend for their own, the oldest being just 13. Joey protects his younger siblings, and he, like I said, he had to get a job at 13 because his father doesn't work, and all the money they do have from their mom working goes to his dad's alcohol. He is very skinny because he really doesn't eat, and it's not stated clearly, but it's like in the book so far, but it seems like Joey just eats less so his siblings can eat more. So he's going through a rough time, and then he starts using drugs. So this, obviously I know a lot about Joey and his story from the first duology, but now we actually get to experience it all, like from him being 13. I do have to say, so far I feel like she is going through the younger years pretty quickly, which I'm glad that she's doing that, because really I have no interest in reading about like these young teenagers' love life, honestly. So I'm really interested when he gets to be like 16, 17, I guess. So I did say, I think both his parents are abusive, and I do think that like you can be both a victim and an abuser at the same time. And I do feel like his mom is an abuser, especially to Joey, because, and he said it himself, she has a soft spot for each and every one of her children except for Joey. Because Darren, he's the oldest, he's her firstborn, she's always gonna have a soft spot for him. Shannon is her only daughter. And then the youngest, like Ollie, I guess, is the youngest boy. And Tyke, like, I guess also has something she loves, but Joey really reminds her of her husband. And she says that, like, she says, you're just like him, you look like him, and you act like him. And Joey already felt like he was kind of despair, nothing special about him. And to have his mom say that, and he does say, like, that hurt me more than anything my father has ever done to me. So he has a complicated relationship with his mom too. Like, on the one hand, he wants to protect her because, like, nobody should go through what she's going through. But on the other hand, she's not treating him well at all when he's the one who's trying to protect her. Even though he's only 13, keep that in mind. Like, he's the one who's trying to protect her. He's providing also for the family because he had to get a job, because his father wasn't gonna get one, and it's just horrible. So to kind of numb his pain, he started smoking pot, but very quickly he started using harder drugs too. All the while, he's very interested in Aoife, and she's definitely very interested in him, but he knows that he cannot cross that line. And it's just sad because he does have a lot of potential. Like, he does this sport, which I have no idea. I've never watched that sport at all. And I believe it's only in Ireland, that sport. What's it called? Curling, I guess. Is it curling? I don't think so. Anyway, and Aoife says it, like, you are smart. Like, whenever we're in class, you pretty much know the answer to all the questions. You just don't do your homework, which he doesn't have the time to do his homework because he has to cook for his family, he has to work, he has to play the sport his father forced upon him. So it is so sad because it seems he has a lot of potential, yet he never really stood a chance in this family, which we knew that from Shannon, of course. And at least Shannon, and like I said, I don't want to diminish or minimize what she went through, because obviously what she went through in like in her duology is awful, but at least she had people protecting her. At least her mom, even though yes, her mom has issues, at least she fought her hardest to get her daughter into like a better school, because she was being bullied so much. And she has her older brother, of course, Joey, who protects her. But Joey doesn't have anyone really. Because yes, he has a good relationship with Shannon. He loves her, but she cannot protect him. So, and I know obviously Aoife will be a bit of that for him, like kind of an escape. And you already see that in like the first 2 years where she's trying to coax him like with food at least, because it seems like she knows that he doesn't eat much. So she does provide that for him in a way, but what really makes him forget for a little while are the drugs he's using. So yeah, it's very, like, these books are not for the faint of heart. They are very, very, very heavy. Obviously, they deal with heavy subject matter, but I feel like these characters just have a way of burning themselves into my heart. I already knew I was gonna love Joey, but just reading his book, I'm already falling in love with him. He's so, like, I just want to protect him. Okay, I want to protect him. Just reading his, like, there's a reason. I knew I was just protecting my heart, like avoiding these books, but I really want to read it because I know these probably will be one of my favorite books I read in 2026. So yeah, and if I don't read it for this vlog, I can see myself avoiding it again for another year, and I don't want to do that because I really, like, she's still publishing this series. I want to be caught up. So I'm going to continue. I don't know when I'll update you. I think I will update you one more time before the end. So I guess you'll see me then. So I'm about halfway through Saving Six, and I have to tell you, I'm struggling a bit. Not because this is a bad book, not at all. I can definitely see why a lot of people love this book so much. There is a big plot line in here that is just not working for me because it's a plot line that I hate. And I don't want to go too much, like, too in detail with it because, you know, but so throughout most of what I've read so far, Aoife has a boyfriend And I hate that plot line so much. I don't like it. I hate it when books do this, books, TV show, movies. Whenever somebody has a significant other, but it's clear that they want somebody else and they get jealous when that other person does stuff with other people, even though technically they're the ones who are in a committed, serious relationship. I hate that. And when it started, I mean, Aoife was very young, like she was 13 or something. So I was okay with it because she was like a young teenager and I was fine with it. And I figured it was gonna be over quickly, but it's not. Like these two are together for 3 years. And it's like, hopefully now where I'm at, it's finally gonna stop because I do know Aoife and Joey from reading Binding and Keeping 13. I know they get together when they're 17 and that is where I'm at in this book. So hopefully that storyline will stop soon. And even though like the guy she's with, Paul, he's not a good guy. Like he's an asshole. And he like definitely does some stuff to her that is not okay. But I feel like she also isn't treating him the best. Like I said, I'm not condoning like the way some things he does, like pressuring her into sex and also threatening to let her walk home even though she's gorgeous, threatening to leave her out to walk to her house in the dark just because she doesn't want to have sex with him. Like he's an asshole and he really doesn't deserve any happiness, even though he's like a 17-year-old boy. But I feel like what she's doing to him is also not fair. Like stringing him along. I don't like books where one character is stringing along another character. I don't like it because for both, like, I know that she wants to be with Joey and it's Joey that is keeping her away and that she probably would have been with Joey if he wanted that too. But since that's not the case, and you're clearly not happy with your boyfriend and you clearly don't want to do anything with him, then set him free and let him find somebody else who will give him what he wants. And same for you. Okay, so you cannot have Joey. You clearly don't like whatever the boyfriend's name is, Paul. You clearly don't want Paul. Then try and find somebody who you do like, because it obviously isn't Paul. So yeah, that is annoying. I know they get together. I do know that. So, and I'm hoping, and I'm just so annoyed because I just really assumed this was going to be 5 stars. And because of this storyline that just keeps going and going and going, it's so repetitive. They constantly break up, then they're back together, constantly break up, they're back together. And I know it's supposed to mimic Joey's mom's story with his dad, but it's not working for me because Aoife is not like Joey's mom. She actually has a backbone. She says what she wants. She is feisty. So it doesn't work for me in that department either. So yeah, sorry guys, I don't think this is gonna be 5 stars, even though I assumed that it was gonna be. Like, it depends on the next, like in the second half, what I'm gonna give it, because I do feel like, okay, hopefully when they finally get together, I will love it a bit more. So hopefully this will be at least 4 stars. I'm still hoping for a 4.5, honestly. I just really hope it's not going to be like a 3, which is what it's looking like right now. And like I said, I want to give a lot of grace because these characters are very young, but it's just not fun to read about it. At the end of the day, I have to review the book for like my level of enjoyment or the feelings I had. And apart from a couple scenes with Joey and Aoife, the rest of Aoife's, honestly, most of Aoife's plotline just annoys me, which is not good. I do have to say, like, when Aoife and Joey are together and alone, or like the scenes they have of them bickering, bantering, I do love those. And that is what is saving this book for me. And yes, obviously, Joey's story is heartbreaking. Watching him use drugs is fucking heartbreaking. Watching him be the dad to his siblings is heartbreaking. And just hearing his inner thoughts, all of that is heartbreaking. So it sucks that there's a lot of time spent on annoying stuff that is just irrelevant. Like, you could have had it just didn't need to be this long or repetitive. So yeah, hopefully that plot line is going to be over soon, and I really hope we get at least as much time with them together. I already know it's not going to be that way, but we'll see. I also looked up a timeline for The Boys of Toman, and this whole book takes place before the events of Binding 13. And then their second book, Redeeming 6, that book takes place, like, it's the same timeline for Binding and Keeping 13. I think for now, I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy, or not enjoy, I think I'm going to love Redeeming 6 more than Saving 6. It just, I think my expectations for Saving 6, it's a bit different than what it actually turned out to be. And it's like, I'm not going to lie, it's solely for the Paul and Aoife storyline. It's annoying to me. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Hopefully I'll come back in the next clip when I finish it and give you more positive thoughts. But for now, I am not gonna lie to you, I am mostly annoyed. So I guess you'll see me when I finish it. So I finished Saving Six this morning, and honestly, it took me half the day to really think about my thoughts about this book, like what I wanted to rate it, because as you could see by my last update, the first half, not the whole first half, but like the plot line that I discussed in depth in my last update, that was so frustrating for me. But like, I think literally the next chapter after I updated you is when we finally got rid of that storyline. The second half of this book just broke me. So I think I settled on a 4.5. I mean, I would have given it a 5-star had that storyline with Aoife and Paul not dragged on for as long as it had. And because so I cannot give it 5 stars, but it's a solid 4.5 stars. Joey broke my heart just like I thought he would. Like, we actually got to see from his point of view how he parented all his siblings. And I remember in Binding and Keeping 13 that little Shawnee would call him Dada, I think. And, I can understand, like, the way Joey just, like, he's literally the only dad and honestly the only mom that his younger siblings know. It is so fucking heartbreaking. And actually seeing from his point of view, his struggles with drug use and how quickly it escalates. But then on the other hand, honestly, I cannot blame him. Like, the life he leads, and like I said it before, his mom, like, in Shannon's books, I could give his mom grace, but in Joey's, I cannot, because the way she hates him, because he reminds her of her husband so much, even though, how is that his fault? But on the other hand, the way she relies on him, like, her other children would honestly be dead if it wasn't for Joey. The way he, like, it's just so fucking heartbreaking to me. And the same thing happened with this book as it did with the first duology. These characters take over my mind. Like, I read this book for like 3 days, I guess, in total. And I woke up every single day with these characters on my mind. Like, I think I even dreamt about them. And I do remember vividly that happening with Keeping 13, which I checked out my review for that book because I forgot what I gave it. I thought, honestly, I'd given that book 4.5 stars as well, because I do know that I have not given a Boys of Toman book 5 stars yet. I gave that book 3.5 stars. I don't know why. I mean, I do explain it's because it took me so long to read. I think, although I don't know if I should, but I kind of want to reread Binding and Keeping 13. I don't think I gave them a fair shot when I read them the first time around, because to me, I am predisposed to not really loving long books about one particular character, and especially not multiple long books on like one relationship. But I mean, honestly, the way these characters have to endure, it just fucking heartbreaking. Like, it is so sad. So yes, I can obviously understand why this is a beloved series. I read Binding and Keeping 13 for another booktuber favorite, so I 100% understand, and I agree. Even though I haven't given them 5 stars, they're not my favorites, but I do feel like, I don't know, I think Redeeming 6 will be a favorite for me, but I'm not reading that in this vlog. But it's like these characters, like I have said it before, Chloe Walsh, her writing feels like a fan fiction. Like, it feels like fan fiction writing in the best way. It is so good. It's so addictive. You really, like, I feel like these characters are real. Like, I feel like I know them. In fact, I don't think I know any other characters the way I know these ones. And they just don't let you go. Like, they literally burrow their way inside of your heart and they will not leave. And like, even though I gave Binding 13 4.5 stars, Keeping 13 3.5 stars, I have thought about these books for a very long time. So yeah, also there was a little moment between Aoife, Joey, and Johnny and Gibbsy, actually, that I loved, of course. So yeah, 4.5 stars. I would highly recommend this series. Can you read this one? I guess you could read this one without having read Binding and Keeping 13, but I don't know why you would. So of the 3 books I read so far, I do agree with BookTube on them. I definitely understand why it's a lot of people's favorites. I obviously have not read Releasing 10 yet, But since this is the book that most people have mentioned, I'm gonna just put it here. And last but most certainly not least, it's a series I've not mentioned yet, so I'm sure you've seen it coming, is the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. This series was mentioned 84 times. 3 people mentioned 2 or more of the books in this series. 18 people mentioned Fourth Wing. 4 people mentioned Iron Flame, and a whopping 59 people mentioned Onyx Storm. So I only own Fourth Wing, and I have a bit of a weird relationship with this series. So I read Fourth Wing, really loved it. Read Iron Flame, really loved it. I believe I have spoiler vlogs of both those books, so I'll leave those links for you. When Onyx Storm came out, I was in a reading slump, so I didn't get to it. Then my plan was to reread the first 2 until I got to Onyx Storm. Still haven't done that yet. So I still have not read Onyx Storm, so please don't spoil me in the comments for it. But I think my plan for now is to just wait until the 4th book is announced, reread the first 2, read Onyx Storm for the first time, and then I'm gonna be so ready for when the 4th book comes out. So, like I said, I gave the other, like the 2 books I read, I gave 5 stars. I would say I agree with BookTube on this one, but I think I'm just not in love with it as much as other people are, which obviously is fine, but I can understand why it's a lot of people's favorite. So this is a giant stack. Like, this is the top 15. Obviously, there's more than 15 books and series here. In total, I talked about 24. Most of these books, I definitely agree with BookTube on. Like, only 1 I have no interest in reading, and then 2 I gave like 3 stars. But other than that, if it's a standalone, I agreed with BookTube on, and if it was a series, then either I agreed with every single book or at least a couple of them. So, yes. You'll see a book here that is missing, which is Great Big Beautiful Life. So, as you could see by my stack, I am pretty generous of what I would count as a romance. Like, for example, The Favorites. If we're being honest here, is not really a romance, but since I had not read it yet, I did want to give it a shot. Great Big Beautiful Life I've read. I despised it. And honestly, in my opinion, it's not a romance. In fact, I'm still very angry about the fact that it won the Goodreads Choice Awards for the romance category, because even if you loved it, it's just not a romance. It is more of like whatever The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is, that kind of genre, like historical fiction mixed with fiction. So I purposefully avoided that book. I didn't count it for this vlog. Anytime somebody mentioned it, I didn't count it as like the 40% somebody had to make in the romance category. And that has not always been the case with Emily Henry for me. Like, with every other romance by her, I have counted it. Like, Funny Story I counted last year. Happy Place I counted the year before, because in my opinion those were actually romances, but Great Big Beautiful Life really wasn't, so that's why it's not here. I'm not sure. Let me remove these because my arm is starting to kill me. This is a more manageable stack. I'm not sure where. I do know that it probably would have made the top 15. I just don't know where. But like I said, like, I made the decision from the beginning, so therefore I did notice when it was there, but I just never counted it, so I couldn't tell you. Also, you might be surprised that maybe some of your favorites haven't made it. Books like Deep End, The Game Changers. Like, I was really rooting for Heated Rivalry, but those barely made it. Like, for example, Deep End was like 16th place. Game Changer was 17th place. So Court of Thorns and Roses this year didn't make it. Direbound barely made it. Silver Elite didn't make it. Chestnut Springs didn't make it. But I mean, a lot of people did enjoy those books. So let me know if you want like the full list. And maybe I can link my document. Whew! So that was the top 15. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were. Do you agree with BookTube or do you not? Let me know all of your thoughts. And like I said, if you want to know my top 10, check out my video of my top 10 favorite romances I read. If you want to say that you were here but you don't want to leave me a actual written comment, leave me some sort of prize emoji. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.